You know that moment when you're scrolling through Instagram and you see her, the woman who just looks effortlessly wealthy, not flashy, not loud, just rich. And you're sitting there with your designer bag that cost you 2 months of rent, and somehow she looks like she has 10 times more money than you, and it hits you. It's not what she's wearing, it's what she's not wearing. Because here's what nobody tells you. The moment you buy something specifically because it has a logo, you've already lost. You've paid premium price for advertising. You're not buying luxury. You're buying permission to look like you have luxury. And the people who actually have money, they figured this out a long time ago. Think about the last time you bought something expensive, really expensive. Did you buy it because it was the best quality you could find? Or did you buy it because everyone would know you bought it? Because if I'm being honest, most of us have done this. We've walked into a store, seen something with a massive logo and thought everyone will know this is real. But here's the problem. Everyone who matters doesn't care about the logo. And everyone who cares about the logo isn't the kind of person you want to impress anyway. The real wealth whispers. It doesn't scream. And right now, you're screaming with your wallet while thinking you're being subtle. So today we're going to talk about 5 specific things you're probably buying that are actually making you look less wealthy, not more. And more importantly, we're going to talk about how to think differently about luxury moving forward, because quiet luxury isn't about being invisible. It's about being so confident in what you have that you don't need to prove it to anyone. Hey sis, I'm Maya, your new Big Sis. I'm here to help you build real wealth and live the life you actually love. No legal jargon, no judgment. If you're ready to stop winging it with your money, hit subscribe and let's do this together. Penny and I are so happy you're here. Okay, so let's start with something that needs to be really clear. Quiet luxury isn't about being poor or pretending you don't have money. It's about knowing the difference between price and value. And most of us have been taught to confuse those two things our entire lives. So let's talk about the first item, designer bags with visible logos. I know what you're thinking. But Maya, luxury brands have logos for a reason. And you're right, they do. But here's the thing. When a brand puts a massive logo on the front of a bag, they're not doing it for you. They're doing it for everyone else. They're making sure that when you walk down the street, people know you paid a lot of money for that bag. And the moment that becomes the primary feature of the item, you've crossed a line. You've turned a functional object into a status symbol. And status symbols are the fastest way to look desperate. Think about it this way. If you saw a woman with a Hermes bag, what would you notice first? The quality of the leather, the craftsmanship, the way it's constructed. You wouldn't notice because there's a giant H on it. You'd notice because the bag itself is undeniably beautiful. But if you see a woman with a Louis Vuitton monogram bag, what do you see? The monogram. That's the whole point. And that's exactly why it makes her look like she's trying too hard. The wealthy women I know, they carry bags that cost 3 to 5 times more than a Louis Vuitton. But you've never heard of the brand because the brand doesn't matter. The quality matters. The craftsmanship matters. The way it feels in your hand matters. But the logo, it's irrelevant. Now let's talk about the second item, fast fashion luxury knockoffs. This one is tricky because it feels like you're being smart. You're getting the look without the price tag. But here's what actually happens. You buy a knockoff designer piece. It looks good for about 3 months. Then the stitching starts coming apart. The color fades, the fabric pills, and suddenly you look like you bought a cheap knockoff, which you did. And now you've spent money on something that looks worse than if you just bought something from a regular brand. But here's the deeper problem. When you buy knockoffs, you're training your eye to care about logos, not quality. You're reinforcing the idea that what matters is whether people think it's real, not whether it actually is real. And that's a poverty mindset, no matter how much money you have. The women who look truly wealthy, they buy fewer things, but they buy things that last. They buy things that get better with age. They buy things that are made well enough that they'll still be wearing them in 5 years. And that's not about price, that's about intention. Third item, oversized designer sunglasses with visible branding. Okay, I'm gonna say something controversial. If your sunglasses have a logo bigger than a quarter on them, you're not wearing them because they're good sunglasses. You're wearing them because you want people to know you paid money for them, and that's fine. But let's be honest about what that is. That's not luxury. That's insecurity dressed up as style. Real luxury sunglasses, you might not even know the brand. They might be vintage. They might be from a small Italian maker that nobody's heard of. But the moment you put them on, you feel the difference. The lenses are perfect, the weight is perfect, the way they sit on your face is perfect, and nobody needs to see a logo to know that they're expensive because it's obvious from how you're wearing them. The thing about visible branding on sunglasses is that it dates you immediately. It says, I bought this because it was trendy when I bought it. But real style is timeless, and timeless doesn't have a logo. Fourth item, luxury sneakers with obvious branding. This one is interesting because sneaker culture has completely blurred the line between fashion and status symbol. And I get it. Some luxury sneakers are genuinely well made, but most of the price you're paying is for the brand name and the hype. You're paying for scarcity. You're paying for the fact that other people want them. And here's what happens. You buy these sneakers. They cost you $300, $400. You wear them twice because you don't want to mess them up. And then they sit in your closet while you wear your regular sneakers because those are actually comfortable. You've spent $400 to look wealthy for 2 days. But the women who actually have money and wear luxury sneakers, they wear them. They get them dirty. They scuff them up because they're not precious. They're just shoes. And if you're treating them like they're precious, you're already admitting that you can't afford to replace them, which means you can't actually afford them. The real move is to invest in quality basics that don't scream. White leather sneakers, neutral colors, simple design, things that work with everything, things that last, things that you can actually wear without worrying about messing them up. Because if you're worried about messing something up, you can't afford it. And the fifth item, luxury watches with flashy designs. Now, watches are interesting because they're actually functional. You need to tell time. But here's where it gets tricky. A lot of luxury watches are designed to be flashy. They have big faces, they have visible complications, they have logos and branding all over them, and they cost thousands of dollars. But here's the thing about real luxury watches. The most expensive watches in the world are often the most understated. A Patek Philippe, a Rolex Submariner. These are watches that people who know about watches recognize immediately. But if you don't know about watches, you might think it's just a regular watch. And that's exactly the point. When you buy a flashy luxury watch, you're buying it so that people will notice it. You're buying it so that when you check the time, people see the brand. But when you buy a truly expensive watch, you're buying it because it's the best watch ever made. You're buying it because it will last your entire life and then some. You're buying it because it's an investment. And investments don't need to advertise themselves. The problem with flashy luxury watches is that they depreciate. They go out of style. They look dated. But a simple, well-made watch, that looks good forever. That's the difference between buying something because it's expensive and buying something because it's valuable. So here's what I want you to understand about all of this. Quiet luxury isn't about being cheap. It's not about pretending you don't have money. It's about knowing that real wealth doesn't need to prove itself. It's about understanding that the most expensive thing you can buy is something that looks cheap, and the cheapest thing you can buy is something that looks expensive. When you start thinking about luxury this way, everything changes. You stop buying things because they have logos. You start buying things because they're made well. You stop buying things because they're trendy. You start buying things because they're timeless. You stop buying things to impress other people. You start buying things because they genuinely make your life better. And here's the beautiful part. When you do that, you actually end up spending less money because you're not buying things you don't need. You're not replacing things constantly. You're not paying for branding. You're just buying quality. And quality lasts. It's no use just listening to me. Your task for today is this. Go through your closet. Find one item that you bought primarily because of the logo or the brand name. The one that made you feel wealthy when you bought it. And I want you to ask yourself, honestly, do you actually love this item? Or do you love the idea of what it says about you? Do it and tell me in the comments what you found, because that's where real change starts, with honesty. Before you go, if this felt like the conversation you needed today, subscribe so we can keep hanging out. And if you have a friend who needs a financial big sis too, share this with her. Let's help all our girls understand what real luxury actually is. You got this. Take care of your money, sis. I'll see you soon.